Well, that was a nice break. I'm ready to get back to that rough draft and get it done. Who can remember what we do when we very first sit down at the computer? That's right. We open our EasyBib project. Okay, now back over to the rough draft. We left off with a situation. And the reason for this situation is that the beginning of this section, okay, so we look at this part here, which we know is supposed to explain why Alonzo is fated to do what he does. So, first thing we have to do is find some more information. It won't take long. We just need an article that tells us the difference between destiny and fate. And we may need a better quote from Alonzo or from somebody else than this. We're professional anglers, Alonzo explains to Jake. We reel in the big ones. I don't know that proves his fate at all. This looks like a messy paragraph. So first let's go find the things that we're going to need. I came over to Google to look for an article, and of course there's a million of them. But now we have to figure out which one of these sources is legitimate. Quora, no. Loner Wolf, I don't even know what that is. First between, that doesn't sound good. E-notes, never. Oh, I can't. I found an article where we can get both things. All right, so first I've got to copy this URL, go over here to EasyBib, create a new site. See that you just get in the habit of that. Just no matter what, if I looked at it, it's going in there. This one they should be able to find probably. Okay, continue. Good, good, good. All right, done. Okay, now let's go back over and look at it. It says, in modern usage, the terms fate and destiny are often used interchangeably. Conversely, people who have never embraced these be right back. Okay, so I found an article that defines destiny and fate. This isn't a huge part of the essay, but this has a writer, so we'll be using her name. I've already added it to EasyBib, so I'm just going to copy and paste what she says, and I'll put it over in the rough draft, and I'll be right back. Okay, I found the definition of destiny and the definition of fate. I've already cited it. And now I need examples of each, right? So here is the example that I'm going to use. And I've gone back over to the script. And one thing that I remembered, in order to find my way in this script, there are certain key people who show up in the dialogue, in the script. And I can click Find and locate them. Stan is one of those people. It'll always take me to the right place. So this is where Alonzo was talking to his superiors about what he wanted to do. And this is the setup of the raid on Roger's house. Ah, okay. So this is what he tells Jake that he's going to do. This is where he tells everybody to get a warrant. He's crossing his T's. He's dotting his I's. He's going to need shovels. He's going to need a warrant, even though he knows that Roger is never going to see the light of day after this. Okay, so now he's talking about, but this is what I want. Okay, genuine bad guy. We just need this. Right? This is his destiny, to find and use his charm to sidle up to criminals and then come back and get them. It's on page 48. Okay. I copy that. I'm going to go back over to my rough draft. Okay. Alonzo is constitutionally unable to settle for a quiet desktop from the moment he not in a number of places, but in, let's find out what the name of that restaurant is real quick so we don't just keep saying the rest. It says right up here, Pacific Dining Car. Okay. So, in the Pacific Dining Car scene, okay, so now we have to weave this information into this paragraph. This is the last time I'm going to show you one of these, but I want you to see how it goes from messy to making complete sense. Okay, so destiny. I'm going to find a better definition. Alonzo's destiny is to use the natural instincts, attention to detail, ruthless greed, and charming demeanor required to rule and control the streets of Los Angeles, period. Now we need to put in that definition of destiny, and I found a better one, just a Merriam dictionary. Good enough. That's not good. Let me go find exactly what it is. I'll be right back. Okay, so this one is in my own words, and I'm proving that with the dictionary, Merriam-Webster, which is a little bit more. Okay? A pretty destiny is a predetermined course of events often held to be an irresistible power or agency. Now we have an example from the script. In the Pacific Dining Car scene, Alonzo follows his destiny by planning. Okay, so we have, this is the example. In the Pacific Dining Car scene, Alonzo follows his destiny by planning an elaborate raid, covering his bases to make up sure all is in order because nothing's free in this world, not even an arrest warrant. You see how long and run on that sentence is? I'm just going to have you watch me fix it. Okay. Follows his destiny by planning an elaborate raid, period. Covering his bases to make sure all is in order, is one of his heroic traits because, quote, nothing's free in this world, not even an arrest warrant. Okay? Then the rest of that paragraph is this. Okay. Okay, so I went out to the internet and I found some definitions of destiny and fate. I didn't like all of them. This is one from Fate, and this is, I made sure to note who the author was. It's already been saved in EasyBib, obviously. Now I took some stuff and put it down here at the bottom that I had originally, and this quote doesn't work here. We reel in the big ones. It doesn't have anything to do with his destiny or fate. So I'm going to cut that from there. I'm just going to go ahead and add it over to the outline just in case I should ever happen to need it. You know, like the one that we did before and we put it in red because it's like something that we didn't use. And I'll just go ahead and put it in red too. Okay, back over to the rough draft. That's out of the way. Now this is how I kind of put it together as a paragraph. Let's go ahead and clean it up before we, this one we didn't need. All the rest of this stuff I don't need. So I'm going to cut it. Well, you're right. I should go ahead and throw it over here into the outline. And just go ahead and make it red. Just so I see this is stuff I had that I didn't need. Okay. Now, let's go over here, see what I came up with for this paragraph. And this paragraph is to bring up the two things, the second of the two things. This is his fate versus his destiny. Okay, so let's make this Times New Roman, 12 font, double spaced. No, let's don't double space it. Well, all right, we'll double space it. Okay, let's go up here. Let's just fix this. So that little excerpt has to be single spaced. Okay, looks good. Fix that. Just going over here to justify the margins. There we go. Looks nice. This part, we justify the margins. Looks nice. Okay, that's good. All right. Let's read this paragraph and see how it looks. This is making a big point. This is making the point that as the tragic hero, he's destined to succeed, but he's fated to die. Alonzo is a decorated officer, an important factor in the present persecution of felons, fearless in his dealings with low-life gangsters. Alonzo takes actions that change the wheels of destiny to a grim death. His destiny. Fate is often pessimistic or fatalistic about fortune, whereas destiny is more upbeat and willing to take a chance for betterment. Alonzo's destiny is to use the natural instincts, attention to detail, ruthless greed, and charming demeanor to use his. And charming demeanor required to rule and control the streets of Los Angeles. Destiny is a predetermined course of events, often held to be an irresistible power or agency. That was that dictionary definition we got. In the Pacific dining car scene, okay, so that's me saying in my own words what he does. Then I have the quote and the definition. Now I have an example from the story. In the Pacific dining car scene, Alonzo follows his destiny by planning an elaborate raid. Covering his bases to make sure all is in order is one of his heroic traits, because nothing's free in this world, not even an arrest warrant. Explaining the new and exciting adventure, the mentor explains to Jake, and see, I can use the mentor because there's his name right there. Okay. Alonzo, a a genuine bad guy. Been investigating this vile bastard for 10 years. For 10 years he's been planning this. And he decides to take Jake along. Jake, who has already shown that he is not really up for some of these sell your soul to the devil kinds of activities. So he's taking Jake to this bust that has taken him 10 years. He's a big fish in a big pond. Today I fry him. The squad's going to get some glory. Talking name-making shit. We'll be getting handshakes from the chief and mayor. Want a piece, new guy? So he tells Jake what he's going to be doing. Yes? I have this little line right there that shows me where my center is. The plan includes a tragic error. At a moment where calm heads prevail and delicate planning required, Alonzo is, quote, excited and happy, and therefore apt to make errors. Mistakes. Let me change that. I'll be right back. Destiny becomes fate in this instance. Period. There is no turning back, no time to reconsider the plan. Jake is in after already showing signs that he is not eager to follow Alonzo in Alonzo's footsteps. Still, Alonzo invites him to a drug bust that might easily go wrong. The wheels are in motion, and Alonzo has left the results up to fate, the preordained course for his life that will occur because of or in spite of Alonzo's actions. And remember, in a quote, I can put brackets in there to make the sentence read properly. The reader knows that the brackets aren't part of the actual quote. Looks good. Looks good. Okay. Now, we still need a transition sentence, but I'm not sure at this point what we transfer over to. So let's go over to the script and see the outline, see where we left off. We're above all this stuff. I'm going to find where we left off. This is where we were. The first of the three things that make him a tragic hero. He fails in his epic struggle. Okay? And so he faces an epic struggle, and then we prove that. We leave this out. I don't know if it'll go somewhere else, but it's up for bids if we need it. Okay, and then we talk about his car, his outfit, and this is something that does not belong here, so we put it in green. And that's down there in that other section. That's why this doesn't belong here. I know where it does belong, though. Okay. And so we had this, the car. Okay, the epic struggle we've proved. We proved that he fails. And then we've proved he fails because he turned destiny into fate. This is a pretty nice section when he turns destiny into fate. I like that. Okay, let's move on. Now we're ready for the next thing. So when I find out what the next thing is, I'm going to go back and write a transition sentence to it. And now we are here. The hero makes choices which bring about his destruction. Okay? There we go. Okay, so this is what we need to say. Because we can't end a paragraph in a... This is not a transition sentence. So I'm going to add a transition sentence right here, and I'll be right back. There's my transition sentence. After this initial decision to include Jake in a raid that was 10 years in the making, fate is in motion, and Alonzo must make careless decisions that turn his heroic journey into a nightmare. Okay, good enough. Let's go over here. What are we doing first? Okay. We're going to take this. that's it for this one. Copy. Go back over to the rough draft. This is the mistake that 3 beats later lends to his demise. So, Alonzo's first mistake occurred around mid-morning in MacArthur Park. Eager to show off his new protege, Alonzo recounts an event from earlier in the day. The collection of his colleagues who sit at a restaurant table with him are suitably amused. Alonzo explains that when they drove by MacArthur Park, 7 minutes from Echo Park location, Jake told, because he's telling the story that happened earlier. Okay, this has to be past tense. Jake told Alonzo to stop the car. Jake then stopped the would-be assault. Later, when Alonzo is meeting with his fellow cohorts, he brags about the episode. Okay, so when Alonzo is explaining something that happened before, that little bit has to be in the past tense, because he's telling these people what happened earlier in the day. And so this is his description of the episode. We're in MacArthur Park, and he starts screaming and jumps out of my car. The texts are hooked. Well, if I'm going to include this, why did I have all this other stuff up here? Okay, I'm going to fix this. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to change this to this. Cut, and I'm going to put it up here around mid-morning. When they drove by MacArthur Park Center and Echo Park, period. Eager shop is has a day. Some colleagues super amused. Since I have his own dialogue, I don't need to say it twice, do I? Right? Alonzo, we're in MacArthur Park. He starts screaming and jumps out of my car. So I chase him down this alley, and holy shit, he's jamming 2 huge crackheads, and there's this mamacita with a bloody nose. Kids stopped. A rape. Kid's got a magic eye. That's what I told him. Kid's a prince. I left that in there because that's kind of significance. He's saying it with a little bit of a, snarkiness. Okay. Whether Alonzo wants to take credit for Jake's bravery or laughing at his naivety, Alonzo's need to boast this is the last part of choice number 1. Whether Alonzo wants to take credit for Jake's bravery or laughing at his naivety, Alonzo's need to boast the deeds of his apprentice prince lead to his ultimate demise. If Alonzo maintains his superiority, it would have been he who stops the rape, not Jake. And if that is the story, his betrayal move would have been successful. Nice. I like that. Yeah. This is the paragraph. It's a nice paragraph. Okay, let's just change it all to Times New Roman 12 font, and then we'll be ready to go. Just, I don't want to mess up that formatting anymore. So let's go here. We're just going to do this part, double spaced, and there. Nice. That's nice. Okay, so this next paragraph hopefully has something to do with his next bad choice. Let's hope that's true. Back to the outline. Okay. We're putting all of our stuff for this next little paragraph over in here. Do you see why you can't do this from by placing the whole outline in here? You see how it just is impossible if you have that much junk. We're just taking it one little piece at a time, and it's challenging too. This is all that stuff about. Okay. I think that's the end of that section. Yes. No, that we already did that. Remember that was in the wrong place? So we've already moved that. That's the pink part. Okay, and we're on the last one. So the last one needs to be the last thing that he did, which is the audience experiences, the stuff of humanity and all that kind of stuff. Okay. All right. We're almost done. How exciting is this? We just have that one section left. Okay, so let's get this over with. This is the choices that he makes that lead to his demise. And we've already said that he is a talented, witty police officer, destined for greatness, and sucked up by the world in which he seeks to operate. Okay, so we got to take this in logical order. Okay, so now he messed up by agreeing to take Jake on this job. Okay, now later in the day, Alonzo returns to Roger's home to locate the drug money and confiscate the drugs. Alonzo plans to use the drug money to pay the Russians. It is important that Jake not only witness this event, but take some of the cash for himself. Why? Who's it important to? It's important to Alonzo that Jake not only witness this event, but take some of the cash for himself. Alonzo wants Jake to be named the shooter and promises that the story report unwilling to accept the blame, Jake in a way betrays his partner by refusing to take orders. The image at right shows Jake's conflict as he is told to shoot Roger. When Jake refused, that's a new paragraph. That was a nice transition. Jake's conflict as he's told to shoot Roger. Next paragraph. When Jake refuses to take part. Do you see that nice transition to paragraphs? I hope you are. I know you are. You're brilliant. When Jake refuses to take part in the crooked scheme, Alonzo calls Smiley one of his loyalists and plans Jake's murder. The plan backfires, and it is Alonzo who is labeled as dishonorable. The homies, as it turns out, are cousins of Letty, the young rape victim. Just as they were ready to kill Jake, comma, Jake tells them the story of their cousin. In a humanitarian moment, Smiley calls Letty for the truth. Letty, well, I think they wanted to rape me, kind of got hit. I mean, he just slaps me, but nothing happens, okay? Because this cop came and kicked their butts. They almost kill him, but he kicks their asses. What did this cop look like? What did this cop look like? He was a white boy. He's young. Smiley looks at Jake. That's him. When Smiley and his crew free Jake, the betrayed rookie runs out to find Alonzo. If Alonzo had taken the credit for Letty, Smiley and his crew would never have known that Alonzo, king of the jungle, did not lift a finger to save Letty. Yeah? That's a bad choice. That's the end of his choices that just... All right, so let's fix this up. Where is the paragraph distinction? It's right there. Okay, so let's go. Okay. We're going to go ahead and set this up as... Okay, and then we move... Remember how we moved the picture? Did we get that in Times New Roman 12? And did we double space it? No. Okay. Okay. And then this next paragraph was... Remember, we're only going to do this part because we don't want it to mess up this language here. We still have this gap. Oof. There we go. Now this green stuff, does this green stuff belong here? We were just showing that he made an error, and that was his second mistake. First mistake was letting Jake go with him on the thing. The second mistake is, the first mistake is not taking credit for saving the girl, Letty. The second thing was is it over there in the, is it over here? We changed all that. And that's this section. What is the stuff of all humans? Remember that's under the pink, but up here in green, let's see, what was this stuff? Alonzo is ultimately killed in the world he seeks to control. Okay, remember, this was his first error, really, when he doesn't pay any attention to the fact that he owes the Russians $1 million. Okay, let's take this and go over to the rough draft. We're in the correct section. We are where it needs to be. But it comes before the bragging about Jake. So this wasn't his first mistake. This was his second mistake. His first mistake, if you remember, is ignoring the warnings about the Russians to whom he owes money. So I'm going to go ahead and put the sentence here so we won't get lost. That's where it goes. Okay, so this is mistake number 1. First mistake. Okay, we've got a huge gap here. So we want to go up here to that little thing. This way. If you know a better way to do this. Oh, all right. Alonzo's first mistake. A few days before this training day. Alonzo meets other authority figures. The 3 wise men is what they're called. Because of his pride, he fails because of his pride. This is all going to be one thing, so Alonzo's name will come up here in a minute. You have to be able to take it out of context and have it make perfect sense. Because of his pride, he fails to heed the warnings from Stan Gursky, who runs the DA's shooting team. During the conversation, Stan warns, "Heard you had an expensive weekend in Vegas. How'd you screw up so bad?" "How could I know? Vegas ain't my town. I'm not omniscient. Lou, you should hop a jet out of here. Wait a minute. Alonzo says something after that. Hold on. Let me go back to the script. And he says something else where he just ignores him. He blows him off. I'll find it. Okay, it was where Alonzo smiles, like he's not going to pay attention to him. Because of his pride and ego, Alonzo pays no attention and moves on with his plan to find and arrest the Sandman. He ignores warnings about the Russians, who are angry after a botched Las Vegas operation. Alonzo's schedule for the day would, he hopes, further establish and reward him as the detective who took down the Sandman, ignoring the debt to the Russians who ultimately take their pound of flesh. Perfect. Now let's go and fix this up. We're going to just highlight this part, and we're going to do Times New Roman 12. Okay, and we want to justify it, and it needs to be double spaced. Now we have this dialogue, and the dialogue is different. The dialogue needs to be Times New Roman 12 single spaced. There's still this gap right here. All right, let's see if we can move this up just a little bit. Okay, that's done, lined up. Then we need to take this little part. We need to make it Times New Roman 12, justify the margins, and double space. Oops. Oopsie. Okay. And then his second mistake. And that's this business that we've already done. I just have to clean it up, get it back over there to the margins. Fix that up. Okay. Okay, I'll fix this all up. This doesn't go there. That's the problem. I'll find where this goes. Okay, if I move that, that puts that back in order. Good. Okay, good. All right. I'm going to go and end this tutorial because we're now on the last section and the conclusion. And then we finish the rough draft. So I'm going to take a break and I'll start another little tutorial to finish out this rough draft. It's looking good. All right. That concludes this tutorial.